Hello, it's Cryptolyze. I hope you are well on this Thursday, 12 October 2023. It is with pleasure that we meet today to talk about AAVE, crypto, the AAVE protocol. So this is a vote that you made in this morning's daily, which ended at 8 o'clock for those who really watched the daily from the start. Many of you still suggested AAVE to me. What is interesting is that the two that came back were CRV and AAVE, which are two players in decentralized finance. So today we are going to deal with AAVE, and I think I will repeat that. That is to say, this little vote at the start of the day to be able to decide on the crypto, which will be studied in the afternoon at 13:30 at the exit of this video, and we'll get started right away. And I remind you that you have the educational course, which is available for free, which is training of more than 60 hours, 130 videos, 400 pages of guides to teach you crypto, blockchain, trading, technical analysis, investment through videos, tests, everything to be able to progress. It's available for free if you get financed by our partner. Everything is in description and comment. We will come back to the fundamental part of AAVE. So what is AAVE? AAVE is a decentralized finance protocol that is primarily used for depositing funds and borrowing funds. So, to be able to borrow funds, there have to be people depositing funds, which is quite logical. And overall, it is the best borrowing system that exists, and worse in terms of decentralized finance. The other one that works very, very well are CRV, so curve finance, which is really the second engine of centralized finance, but AAVE for me is one of the main ones. If it's not the main thing, really. For my part, what is interesting to see is in terms of the screens. I had the old screen, which had already blocked $26 billion at the level of AV. We see that it has drastically decreased, so that this dates from about a year ago, and here we are at 7 billion. So we see that the TVL, the total value lock, therefore the total amount which is blocked in the protocol, has decreased drastically, but that is the general state of the bear market and the period of lethargy that we are having. Nevertheless, it is a protocol which covers a lot of blockchain. More than 7 protocols, I believe. If I am not talking nonsense, there you go. 7 protocols and 14 markets which are available, in which you can deposit your cryptos to receive a APR, therefore a return, because other people will borrow them, and we will receive part of this return, namely that AV takes a part, and behind it, we also take a part for be rewarded on it. So it is a protocol which has also been attacked many times, notably with attacks linked to flash loans being fast, very fast loans. The principle of flash is really very, very fast. That is to say that it is in the same transaction block. We will borrow at the start of the block, make the transaction, repay the loan, and validate the transaction, all in the same single block. And as a result, there were price manipulations that tried to be carried out in this style, and there were what we call bad debts. Bad debt being bad debts for the protocol. This means that when the loan ended, the protocol did not manage to close everything because it happened so quickly. Quickly enough so the collateral collapsed. And therefore there is perhaps a percentage which was not absorbed by precisely the person who carried out the manipulation. And therefore it is the protocol which suffers of this bad debt. This was the case, notably twice. And twice it was the protocol which absorbed everything. They didn't even use what they call the AAVE community treasure, so that's an AAV. It's a community treasure which is very important. It's overall if the AAVE holders who deposit their token against a return, I think it's 3, 4, 5, 6%. It's really not far of 5%. And in exchange, if there is ever a problem with the protocol, for example, which is hacked, the community treasure will in fact be used to be able to reimburse or in fact cushion the impact. So that's a system that works quite well, although I think that a large part of the people who just take the yield without really knowing the implications, because you can't get out of it right away. So there is still a big risk, and people are often fooled and don't understand the risk involved. So if you want a return on the AV, yes, but you have a risk which is still relatively significant. Because AAVE being one of the most important protocols currently, it will necessarily be the most attacked. So in the news, we had the launch of GHO, which is their stablecoin, KeyGhost, which aims to be an over-collateralized stablecoin. What does that mean? This means that we will deposit assets, and with the assets that we will deposit, we will be able to borrow. There is a bit of a principle. If I'm going to borrow from AAV, I'm obliged to deposit, for example, ETH, and I'm going to borrow USDC. There they propose their own token, which is the GHO, mainly allows you to borrow a token apart from DII or USDC or USDT or other cryptos which are just lying around in the borrowing possibilities. And the advantage of this stablecoin is that one is something that is close to DII without being DII. That is to say that DII has now changed its policy a lot, in which it has a collateralization which is carried out with bonds to the American Treasury on a large part, and we have a lot of USDC, and we therefore have quite little real decentralization as we had at the beginning of the project, whereas precisely the GHO aims being decentralized linked to the assets that are deposited is a big strength. The last strength that I didn't note there in the slides because it's complicated to note in a slide, but the big strength is that AAVE in its version 3 is what we call a portal. What does portal mean? This means that everywhere in all the blockchains where AAVE is instantiated, we have the possibility of being able to transfer liquidity. So it's not yet decided on the general public. On retail, but on the other hand, the protocols use it, blockchains use it, so it's really what we call a portal which allows liquidity to be transferred from one blockchain to another without going through by a bridge, because the bridge is directly interfaced between the liquidity of AAV, and to be able to do this is simple. You need a lot of liquidity. Which protocol has the most structural liquidity? We have Curve, we have AAVE, we have Compound, and we therefore have AAVE, which is still very well present for that. And I think that we will have a lot of news that will arrive in the days, weeks, months, which are coming, or even years which are coming for a democratization of this notion of portal. And it can be a solution to stopping the fragmentation of liquidity, which I have already addressed in several Sunday videos. We have finished this fundamental part, and we are going to attack the technical part. For AAVE, we have a pattern that is really nice to analyze, in which we don't have too many schematics as we saw on the previous bull run, in which we had an accumulation, acceleration, retracement, reacceleration, and then who insures in 2 stages, okay? Here we have something that is totally different, and the fact that it is different makes the analysis totally interesting. In which we had a key level which was really maintained for a long time with a last acceleration which took place in May 2021, before having the breakout, and then we did not make a next top. And that's very important because as a result, we didn't have this second acceleration that we could have expected with the second part of the bull run that we experienced in 2021 at the end of 2021. And alongside, we had the overall establishment of a distribution in BC, Arkansas, ST, so in which we have a reaccumulation in BC, Arkansas, ST, and therefore so. So overall here we have the difference between a distribution and an accumulation. It will mainly be the break in the buying climax. Therefore, the fact that we went for that with the ST. And the fact of having both explains to us very clearly that we are in a phase of transformation at the asset level here of the AAV, which is rather logical. We have something which is rather ball in the long term, especially that we are working on classic reaccumulation zones at the level of this zone, and that we had this whole period of dilution, this whole period here where the price worked downwards while we did not necessarily have a bearish impact on the market. As a reminder, throughout October, we were rather very upset about the rest. Even a large part of November, when there we were really in a downtrend, in a downward trend. And this downward trend ended here with the 13th of June with a lower, which was carried out on Celsius. And since then, we are in a form of lateralization, which is even at the limit a compression, which shows precisely to what extent the asset in itself is resilient, and that we arrive in an area that is really very interesting. Especially since AAVE is a 100% protocol decentralized to more than 150 zero holders. So we are in something which is truly community-based, and which works very well, and for me it is one of the best protocols to show the fact that a decentralized protocol works and is profitable, because AAVE is profitable. Alongside, we therefore have this element at the level of the price action in which we do not necessarily have a pattern, a structure, because we are in a compression of the price. A compression which is also seen at the level of the RSI, at the level of the momentum. For me, we are really in a classic spot zone. We made an attempt to accelerate here to retest this part. But if we readjust, and in fact make a second line which corresponds at the level of the candles quite simply, we will see that we actually respect this second line, okay? So there we have the deviations. So what goes above to seek liquidity? And there we really have the classic level of maintenance. And we see that we have really been rejected. So for me, the next stop would be in the 50 to then start the rise again, to then have either a bearish resolution with a break below the 40, if ever we have very, very strong pressure at the level of the total market cap, therefore, of the all cryptos, in which we will also have pressure at the level of AAV. Otherwise, I have a tendency to tell you that it is something which will go on the rise. When you see compression like that, that's really the principle in which it's interesting to think about its exposure on the AAV. What can we set as a target? So on that, the AAVE will be quite simple to set targets. Already for me, The big target would be the 450. We have a small target which would be in the 250, but 450 really seems to me to be a big target in which we have a lot of equity, which is blocked in this zone. So we will have here a profit taking with a reduction in exposure, and then we will go for the ATH and then potentially do wave 1, wave 2 to prepare a wave 3 at Elliotist with an AAVE which would hit around $1,000. This which would bring us to a market cap of 20 billion, which is not enormous. Currently we are around 1 billion. So we are in something which would be coherent on a protocol which is the basis of many other decentralized finance protocols, which has proven its resilience during the bear market, during hacks, during its decentralization phase. So for me, we are really in a protocol which is very strong. And 20 billion for the protocol, which is the basis of decentralized finance, seems to me something consistent also in terms of pricing. I hope you liked this video. If so, don't forget to leave me a like and a comment. It always makes me very happy. And I'm sure you will enjoy the video that I carried out on CRO, the crypto of crypto.com, the problem of exchange cryptos. I explain everything to you in this video, and we'll meet at 7 o'clock for the day.